Well, hello, folks. Thank you for joining us again after the premiere. So I see we have quite a few people here right now. So who's coming from the premiere? What did you think of that story? Any feedback? Hello, Nux. Hello, Brenda. Thank you for being here. It's always cool to see you guys in the chat and part of what we're doing here. So so for starters, does anyone have any questions for me? I just thought I'd put that out there. I see we have quite a few people with us, and so it's a chance to ask me questions about Texas Pictures or about fentanyl. I'm not an expert on fentanyl. I'm like a journalist. I learn as I go, and I have learned a lot. Nux and Glenn, fancy me. Yeah, okay. I'm always going to be here, wouldn't you think? But yeah, yeah. Good to see you here, Neo. Appreciate you being here. Fiona Jean. Hello, Fiona. Thank you for joining us. How are you guys doing? How many of the people here were in on the premiere that we just finished? I'd love to hear some feedback about the premiere. I see Marianne Hope. I'm coming from the premiere. Sad story. And it happens every day, everywhere. So this story was a little bit longer than, sorry, this story was a little bit longer than most of our stories. How did you guys feel about that? It's a good. It was as long as it needed to be. I thought that was my feeling, and there was some real interesting complexities to the story, and being able to include law enforcement body camera footage, I think, added a lot of impact to the story. I thought it was powerful. Nux loves the long ones. Okay, so yeah, it really the story kind of dictates itself as far as how long it needs to be, and we really don't sit out. We don't set out to make a story a specific length. The average length of a story tends to be around 20 minutes for a fentanyl story. The recovery stories tend to be a little shorter, but we don't set out with a time. I know that a few of the early ones we did. We tried to keep them all under 10 minutes, but but since then, no, we don't do that anymore. We I know that Wade Green's story is almost an hour long, and this story was over 45 minutes long, and I believe that there is a couple of others that are over 40 minutes or close to 40 minutes. It really just kind of depends on the story. You can't tell a story in 10 minutes. People deserve more. Gosh, Nick, I don't know. I once met a guy on an international flight. I just wound up sitting next to a guy who was a producer for 60 minutes. And at the time, every story on 60 minutes was 8 minutes long. That was just their rule. That was their format. So I think typically the stories need. It's not really needing more time. It's that they need that that kind of depth and that pace where you're not just learning the story, you're learning about the storyteller at the same time. And so there is a kind of I don't know, I'd want to call it like a double story, that there is the story of what happened to the victim, and then there's the story of how the storyteller dealt with going through whatever they went through. Hello, Fly Girl. Thank you for joining us. Glad you're here. It's always cool to see you here. It's always cool to see all you guys here. So, Nick, oh, gee, some people need a time limit so they get to it. Some are more impactful that way, yet all depends. Yeah, I could see a time limit now and then, but it's really such a cool process the way that we do these interviews, and it's just very cool. So, hello, Crazy Coons. Good morning to Glenn and to you all. So here it is almost 6 o'clock in the evening. So you are in Texas, but the stories are from everywhere. I have watched a lot. Yes, they are from everywhere. We hear from people all over the country wanting to share their story. And so we have a process in place where we can make that happen. Where just a couple of weeks ago, I was on the road in Florida and shot stories in Pensacola and Jacksonville and Cocoa Beach. And at each location, I shot stories for 2 days. And each of those locations began with one person at that location, like one person in Jacksonville. And that person wanted to share her story. And she found us a location to shoot interviews. And we announced the event on our channel and on Facebook, and people start signing up. We're going to be in Denver in June, and we are going to be where else are we going? I believe we're going to Massachusetts sometime soon. Might be going to New York City, and pretty sure we're going to wind up in Los Angeles or somewhere Southern California area all this year. I don't know if you guys have seen the big map that we have. So let me just find the map of all the places that we have shot stories so far. Just give me a second. Sorry. So where is the map? Oh, that ain't it. There we go. All right. So here is where we have recorded stories so far. And this has all happened within the last 18 months or so. Missing from this map are 3 locations in northern Florida that just happened. That the map needs to be updated again. But anyway, that's where we've been. Kind of get around. And at every stop, every one of those locations started with just one person who wanted to share a story and wanted to make it happen. So let me catch up on some of the posts over here and see what's going on. And yeah, so I am in Texas. So Nick, thank you for watching a lot. Uh, uh, appreciate it. Yes, we go all over wherever someone asks. We don't turn anyone away. At least we haven't yet. It could happen. There are some unique kind of people. So, Crazy Coons, I have been to Australia. I've been to Adelaide and Sydney, and not for anything recent. It's for an industrial project, but yeah, I've been there. It's fine. Nothing. No real big wow about it. Certainly no disappointment at all. Everybody was very nice. At the hotel that I was staying at in the bar across the street, they were actually having a tournament, a Texas Hold'em tournament in Adelaide, Australia. So they liked that I was from Texas. How about that? So, all right, let me catch up on the questions. Almost 9 a.m. Monday here. So you're in Texas, but the stories everywhere. Mary, welcome. Brenda, Crazy Coots. Marianne, Fiona, Jean, Ireland. Ireland, been to Ireland too. I've been there. How many people are on your crew? It varies. Typically, like for the location shoots that we did in Florida, it was just me. I drove there from Houston, and at each location, there's people there who help with some stuff, but it's either typically our crew for all of these series, for the fentanyl series, addiction recovery, the human trafficking, and domestic violence. For all of these series that are in this kind of format, it's either just me or me and my wife. Very seldom is there any other kind of help along. It's always nice for it to be at least a crew of two, and it's always nice to have my wife along. So, but it's a pretty streamlined process. It is not. It's not very elaborate, and it works out pretty good. So I like to remind everybody to give a thumbs up. It's supposed to help how YouTube processes our uh, evaluates how people would be interested in hearing about this. So I would love to see that thumbs up thing grow. It just grew. That is so cool. That is awesome. All right. So let me catch up. So 12 p.m. in Ireland. How long have you been doing this, and what got you started? Yeah, there's that one. So let me hold on. How long? We started doing the fentanyl series in November of 2022, and the reason we were doing them is because the DEA hired us to do that at a family summit that the DEA put on here in Houston. Texas Pictures has been around since 2007. Most of the work that we did for most of that time was industrial production work. And occasionally we would get to do a documentary. Most of our clients were oil and gas clients, technology clients, and the Houston Police Department. So with the oil and gas clients and the technology clients, we've got to travel a lot. So I've been to every continent on Earth except Antarctica on someone else's dime. and but the work for the Houston Police Department was the stuff where we got to do documentaries. We made a documentary with the Houston Police Department about impaired driving. And with that project, we even involved a team of volunteer high school students who helped with the production. Now, the volunteers, they were all kids who had career interest in filmmaking or journalism or law enforcement or something along those lines. So they got to have real professional, career-oriented experience in a field that interests them. And that documentary is on our channel. It's called Chronicles of a Teen Killer, and that was cool. So the documentary stuff has always been where my passion is. And after we did that one, some other projects started coming along. We started doing some work for Mothers Against Drunk Driving. We made a documentary about synthetic cannabinoids for the city of Baytown, which is like a satellite city next to Houston. And that one too, we made with a team of teenage volunteers. That documentary is called The Last High, and that also is here on our channel. Knox, we can come to Alabama. Anyway, so then we started to get known with the work for the Houston Police Department and the city of Baytown and the city of Houston. We made a documentary about distracted driving for AAA, and we did a lot more work for Mothers Against Drunk Driving. So that kind of got us known. But from 2009, when we first set up our YouTube channel until near the end of 2022, we managed to accumulate about 1,600 subscribers. And we never really did much to pursue that. We used YouTube as a way to showcase our work. And all of the work that we did was with clients, paying clients who would hire us to do whatever, training and safety video, some kind of documentary, whatever. And when we started doing the fentanyl poisoning series and putting those stories on our channel, things took off. And so, now we're over 170,000 subscribers. We average over 1 million views a month. And all of that, that's what makes the fentanyl series possible. Is we don't have any funding, we don't have any sponsors, we don't have any grants, nothing. All we have is the revenue that comes from the advertising from YouTube. And that revenue, it is not a lot, but it is enough to make the series sustainable. We're able to keep doing this line of stories, and we're able to start other topics like addiction recovery. We have a series of addiction recovery stories and human trafficking, and we're starting a series on domestic violence. We're also starting a series about cannabis-induced psychosis, which we're certainly still learning about. So for me, it's kind of living the dream. We don't have any clients. We don't have anyone that we're accountable to other than the audience and the storytellers. So it's a pretty sweet spot to be in. All right, let me catch up here. Fiona, yeah, pharmacy. I don't know what to make out of that. Oh, look. Thank you, Nicole. Oh, my phone just gave me a notice. Thank you, Nicole. So, where am I? Is fentanyl sold in pharmacy or is it illegal? And fentanyl is a synthetic opioid, and it does have legal. There is legal versions. There's fentanyl in patches. There's also lollipops, or there were lollipops are also used in combat areas as a way to treat injuries. Let me, but the big issue that's happening in the United States is for illicit fentanyl that is that is used as a substitute to create counterfeit versions of Xanax pills, Percocets, Adderall, oxy, uh, several, and it's also used to create fake cocaine, fake heroin. Who'd have ever thought that there would be an issue that involves counterfeit heroin? So okay, let me catch up here. Things are different here. We also barely have benzos in the black market because the doctor gives it to you. We are the leaders in legal benzos. They aren't laced because they come from legal sources. And so, and Sarah, where are you? I know I'm looking at I'm sure I missed some stuff because I started rambling and just off I went. But things are different. Okay, it's usually patches, but a huge black market. Yeah, usually patches. And I have a friend whose mother died because she applied a patch, forgetting she already had one on. I know it's a boring state, but we have so much to tell in Alabama. So many families. Well, Knox, you can make it happen. We have a page on our website. You need to email me, and I can send you a link. It isn't a public page on our website, but I can send you a link, and the page explains the process of arranging a storytelling summit with Texas Pictures wherever, anywhere. In fact, okay, I'm just going to post the. I'm just going to post the link right here because that's what I ought to be doing. Sorry. Oh, I did it wrong. Give me a second, folks. Just give me a second. There it is. Okay, folks, I am going to add a link to the chat right now. And this link is a link to learn about how to make a storytelling summit happen wherever. It explains what's involved and all that good stuff. So feel free to explore it. So let me see, Glenn. I know it's a boring state. Alabama's not a boring state. I find southern states always very cool. Pharmaceutical fentanyl. Oh, come on, stop it. I'm sorry, it scrolled a bit. It'd be great if we had a staff where there could be someone who would just queue up the comments for me to read, or read them to me. Wouldn't that be awesome? But no, we're not there. So thank you for all your time and dedication in educating people, also giving a platform to people to tell their stories. Thank you, Lauren. I feel so completely blessed to get to do this kind of stuff. I have met so many amazing people in the course of doing this, amazing people who have endured terrible pain and are still enduring terrible pain. But they seem to also be so very full of love and so dearly wanting to help others. So I feel just I feel very blessed to be doing this. We're up to 19 thumbs up now. There's 49 viewers and there's 19 thumbs up. That'll be all right. Okay, that's amazing, Glenn. What? Okay, gosh, Fly Girl. I don't know what was amazing. I don't know what you're referring to. It's the views, hitting the likes, and some advertisement. So y'all haven't. Look at Nick go. That's right. Yeah. There's clearly we've got 50 viewers and only 20 thumbs up, and we've had viewers come and go. So hey, just a thumbs up. Feel free to subscribe if you've not, and you're certainly welcome to be a member. Nux Sandwich. I'm Nicole. Sorry, I used my real name on YouTube. Thanks, Nux. Okay. Yes, I remember because Nux Sandwich, it's sort of a play on Knuckles, which is similar. Okay. Thank you, Nicole. So, Nick, you can go online and buy stuff from China. That's one molecule away from the real stuff, making it not illegal to sell. You can also get it in India. I was working on this is interesting. I was working on one of our stories, and I needed a picture of Xanax bars, and so, like everybody, I went to Google and looked for images of Xanax bars, and I found an image that was like a pile of them, and it turned out to be on a website that's in India where I could have bought a bunch of Xanax bars. I didn't, but I was surprised. You can go online and buy your stuff. Oh, wait, yeah, thank you, Glenn. Glenn Muse on Venmo if you choose to tip the host. Look at Nicole. Okay. All right. So just briefly, I can. Remember, folks, we put up the House Storytelling Summit's work link. If anybody needs it again, let me know. And eventually, I'm sure I'll catch up with the messages that I've been missing over here. So here is the link to the way to tip me to tip Texas Pictures that Nux brought up. That's very considerate to bring that up. It's not something I'm particularly comfortable with asking about, so anyway, so let me see where I'm at. There's Nux, Brenda, crazy. I agree. Glenn Muse for president. Yeah, no. It's weird to me that there have been presidents that are younger, that were younger than I am now when they were in office. It's kind of weird. No, I don't need to be president. That's cool, though. It's easy to set up with Texas Pictures documentary as long as you can find a place to host it. That's probably the biggest challenge. April managed to make it happen. It doesn't have to be a giant space. It just needs to be enough space. The the reference that we tell people is we need a big enough space where you could fit a full size SUV in. Like you could fit a Chevy Suburban in a room with furniture out of the way, a Chevy Suburban, and that's big enough for us to record the stories. And we also need another space nearby where people can wait, and there's a form everyone needs to fill out. And in that space, this wonderful level of bonding happens between the storytellers that are either waiting to share their story or they've already shared their story and are just sticking around and visiting with the other people who are waiting to tell their story. It's a very cool dynamic. Okay, so yeah. Oh yeah. No crazy coons. No. No, you guys are too good to me. So yes, April. Gosh, I have pictures of our set somewhere. April. Anyway, you can have the comments read. Yeah, I tried that once, and me and the comment reader got really short with each other. So having someone read the comments didn't really work. For it didn't work that time anyway. Let me catch up. Knocks you our channel the guilt and a construct. Okay, a million views a month. Yeah, a million views a month. That's wild. And so a million views, that doesn't mean a million people, because typically when someone views a story, they'll view two or three or more. They'll binge the whole or a couple of dozen, and so that gets counted each time. But YouTube analytics also tells us that we have a million unique viewers every 100 days. So that's kind of awesome too. So okay, I'm really just like way behind. You can have the comments read. Yeah, no, try that. Prime Minister. Okay, come on. I'm 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 in my zone now, and Nux damage. I live with guilt over my brother every single second of every day. Make it make it a mission. Make it a mission. The the sixth there's 5 stages of grief. You don't really go through them in order. You kind of bounce around. It ought to be called the 5 buckets of grief, that you jump in one bucket and then you jump in another bucket and then you go back to the first bucket and then you go to the fourth bucket and then you go back to the second bucket and then you go to the fifth bucket. It's not really a step by step thing, but there is a sixth stage, and that's purpose, mission. And that's how a lot of the fentanyl families that I've met deal with it, is that they have nonprofit organizations or they're involved with other people's nonprofit organizations. They give presentations in schools. They're doing all kinds of things to increase awareness, to save lives, to prevent other parents from going through what they're going through. And they find some comfort in that. Sure, he and do both. I don't know what you mean there, Brenda. Please hit that thumbs up. Look at that. Look at that. Wow. Okay. My thumbs up are growing pretty good now. Okay. Nux, you are a channel. You are channel the guilt in a constructive way. That's it. Channel the guilt in a constructive way. That's turning it into purpose. India, no, no, no. Marianne Hope. Yeah, I think the name of the website was India Mart. So assuming it's India. I've been to India. So let's get ready to get some memberships. Here goes Nux again. That's, you're too good to me, Nicole. Doreen, how are these drug dealers getting away with it? Still continues hourly everywhere. Your documentary should be shown in elementary through high schools, even college during freshman orientation. That sounds like a great idea to me. They should be. I agree. There are there are several organizations that use some of our stories and presentations that they make to high schools and middle schools. I don't know if anyone's gotten into an elementary school. That seems like a pretty high bar. I've given presentations in middle schools in Austin, Texas, and we used two of our stories for those presentations. I'm part of an organization called Fentanyl Fathers, and the goal of our organization is to bring fentanyl awareness education, fentanyl awareness presentations to every high school and every middle school in the country. We don't have Venmo here. Do you have PayPal? I don't know. I I think so. Lauren, I don't know. Uh, Small island, bottom of the world. It's not that small, I don't think. So, Lauren, I don't know. Watch for next time, or send me an email. You can send me an email. I'll just show you real quickly my contact information. You can email uh, info at texas-pictures.com. You can also find us on Facebook and find us. We also have a presence on TikTok. So that's exciting enough. That so there is the email address, and feel free to email me anytime. So Doreen, because they are replacing memberships. Yes, there is memberships going on up there, isn't there? Is that what I'm seeing? We don't have. Okay, we did that membership. Doreen, because they are replaceable, it's one goes down. There's 10 more. Here's the thing about there's a big deal you hear law enforcement make about going after the big fish. When has that worked? Ever? When has it worked? When has it accomplished anything? What happened? You remember Pablo Escobar? No, we got him. What happened? We got him before this fentanyl stuff began. What happened? Going after the big fish doesn't work. But here's my belief is that it is really mainly it's a better time to go after the big fish. There's more of an adrenaline rush for law enforcement to go after the big fish. If it was me, I would want to go after the big fish because it would feel like more of an accomplishment and certainly be more of an adventure than just arresting dealers that are also trying to just support their own habit. But the big question is when ever has going after the big fish worked. Mexico didn't stop producing things when Pablo Escobar was killed. Nothing changed. Nothing changed. That's it. Okay, sorry. There's a lot of money in it, though. There's a lot of money in fighting the drug war, the way that it's being fought. There has to be other approaches. Okay, the detectives don't feel like they find enough evidence to convict, but I call bullshit. I'm with you, April. Totally. That how much is enough? In in some cases, the guilty party could just be scared into confessing. That's a thing. That's a thing that happens a whole bunch. And if they have little experience dealing with law enforcement, then then it's not a big challenge to scare them into confession. To just go and talk to them, and with a little bit of pressure, they break down. That's a common thing, but they don't even try that. Next, I bring it up every time. I bring it up only because every dime helps an addict's family. I've never been asked to do that. I hope I didn't. No, no, no. Certainly not. No, it's a very kind thing that you doing that, Nicole. You're awesome. So uh, so grateful for you guys, and I should I should bring it up now and then. You know, but it's the money makes it all possible. It's not cheap going to all of these places. You know, we don't charge anyone anything, and so it does help. It helps a lot. So let me catch up and bring it up. So Nux, you're awesome. You're awesome. So Joe, my niece died from fentanyl overdose a few years ago. She was 21 from Slidell, Louisiana. Slidell, holy cow! I have been to Louisiana many times. Uh, Lafayette a lot. New Iberia, Port Fourchon, Louisiana, all oil and gas kind of stuff. Shreveport, uh, Bossier City, and then the big ones: Baton Rouge, New Orleans. When I was a little kid, when I was 6 months old, I lived in Baton Rouge for about 6 months. Don't really remember it. Wasn't impressed, as a 6 month old. Anyway, so grateful to you, Nux. So thanks, Mary Joan. I'm so sorry for your loss. My heart and prayers go out to your family. Yeah, Joan, there is there's a lot of groups out there that can help. You know, there's a lot of groups that are focused on fentanyl awareness, that are focused on dealing with grief, that are focused on finding some way to turn the pain into some sort of purpose. And Joan, uh, you can find them, and I'm glad to help you find them if you'd like. You're welcome to email me or find me on Facebook and message me there, or however you want to approach it. And I'd be glad to help you. We have a private Facebook group that is for people who have shared their stories with us in one of our series, and people who wish to at some point share their story with us whenever we're in whatever part of the country they're in. Now, here's an interesting thing about the story that just premiered. That story is one of the rare times when we actually shot the story right here at Texas Pictures World Headquarters. Both of the interviews were shot about 12 feet from where I'm sitting. The camera was arm's length from where I'm sitting right now. They came to us because it was urgent. So, Joan, really feel free to message me, reach out to me. If there's any way to help you, we're glad to do it. And that's true for anybody else who's here. And we're here for you guys. Nux, it's not just addicts, it's community as a whole. It's helping. That's right, Nick. Joan Henderson, I've watched many of the stories on here. What happened there? What's happening? It's so sad. One pill kills. Why don't these teens and young adults understand you can't or should never even experiment with any drugs? These are victims not getting the message. Yeah, okay, thank you. I see Joan's message. Okay, thank you. And for some reason, I'm not seeing the whole thing. I see. Okay, thank you. Okay. Nux says this channel has helped me show my older 6 kids that it only takes one time and your life could be over. I'm in Mississippi Gulf Coast, but I hear of many stories. We've had several inquiries from people we've had inquiries from Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, Arkansas. And so when we get these inquiries from people who want to share their story, we have a system where what we do is we always recommend that they join our Facebook group, the private Facebook group for people who have shared stories with us and people who wish to. So we have published, we have 220 or so stories. This is episode 225. The published story before that is episode 223. 224 is kind of hanging in limbo right now. It's finished. We spent all the time on it. So, wow, I kind of lost track of what the point I was trying to make. But so we always encourage people to join the group if they have a story that they want to share, because that's where all of our events get announced first. When we're having a storytelling summit anywhere in the country, it gets announced there first, and the people in the group get first chance to to sign up to share their story. So we have about there's been about 250 storytellers roughly, maybe more like 300, but the group has over 500 members. And so there's a lot of members who just wish to share their story when they get the chance. And so that's a great simple solution for us, that we have this hub. As long as you're on Facebook, then it's easy. This channel has helped me show. Okay, in Mississippi, go, Joan. Fentanyl is in many places. It seems to be everywhere. April says, Doreen, is hard to explain addiction to someone who's never suffered from the illness. Thank you, Lauren Kate. You are so right about the free education. In my lifetime, I've been crazy coons. In my lifetime, I've been an example to my children to what path not to choose in life. Probably the one thing in life I got right. It's probably more than that. There's probably a lot of things you got right. Even a clock that doesn't work is right twice a day. So there's that. But aside from that, every step you take is a lesson for somebody else. Every time you do something good, people learn from it. They learn from bad things you do too. People who pay attention grow from what they witness, from what they experience, from what they follow. So surely there's other things, probably lots of other things that you got right, and you're still getting right. Yes, of course, it can definitely happen to anyone. That some of our stories in our addiction recovery series, I know better. I know there isn't a stereotypical addict image, but holy cow, it's so far reaching and so much more common than people want to acknowledge. It can happen to anyone, really. I didn't know anything about fentanyl poisoning until I started watching this channel. Thank you. Thank you, Mary. Holy cow. I am so glad you are part of the channel, and I'm glad that our stories reached you. And I would bet, I'm just guessing, I suppose, but I bet that you have told other people about the stories, and they told other people, and it just grows and grows and grows. So that's awesome. Crazy Kunz, that makes you amazing. You are teaching your children and breaking the cycle. That I applaud you. Yes, Nux, exactly. That well said. They were all beautiful people that did not want to die. Ivy League fighting nurse, day 1636, by the grace of God. Holy cow. Don't make me do math. What is that? 6 or 7 years? 3? Almost 6 years, right? See, Mary, you tell a lot of people. That's that's paying it forward. That's paying it forward for the storytellers, not for Texas Pictures, but for the storytellers. For for Jane Grey, who was in the story today, and for every storyteller, even stories that you haven't seen, because the way YouTube works, people will get directed different directions what's according to what's happening. So Brenda says, Doreen and April, when I am explaining addiction, I tell people to put their cell phone in a locked safe, see how long you can go without it, count how many times you think about getting it. Yeah, see, that's a great way to demonstrate it to people who you don't get it until you're in it. You really, to really understand addiction, you have to have some sort of experience with it. Either your own addiction or someone close to you. Almost 4.5 years. See, I did math off the top of my head. So that's, wow. The hair's kind of crazy, isn't it? Sorry. Let me catch up here. Ivy, wow, congratulations. Keep up the great work. Exactly. So, Ivy League flight nurse. So that is awesome. That's a giant victory. On our channel we have a series of addiction recovery stories. There's a whole playlist. There's about 40 stories in there. Ivy League, have you seen some of those? Any of those? April, I understand addiction. I've had friends and family members, but now with counterfeit, these kids are taking one pill for the first time in many cases, or first time getting from a dealer. Yes, that's correct. It's a different world now. I suppose there's something a little bizarre about expecting a dealer to be trustworthy, but I don't know. You ought to be able to have faith in, I don't know, brand name stuff. Amen to that. I worked in healthcare for 20 years, and it saddens me to say that the medical professionals can be some of the most judgmental. Yes, I guess some of you know about one of our stories, episode 100, Wade Green's story is pretty harsh on the medical community in a city in Florida. Ivy League, if you haven't seen it, you should. You would probably find it very interesting. Amen to that. I just did that one. All right. So we're catching up. I really appreciate all you folks joining us. I see we've got quite a few people here right now. I appreciate that very much. Remember, guys, hit the thumbs up button. We have over 80 people here and we have 29 thumbs up. So come on, make it grow, people. Come on, just thumbs up. It's a button somewhere down near the bottom underneath where my video is. There ought to be a little thumbs up button. You can hit. Look at there. There we go. Cool. Thanks. My mom got my brother addicted. She is still an active addict. I truly love her, but have to love from a distance. It's a harsh reality, but it's fifth generation addiction. Choose to try and stop. Yeah, you got this, Nugs. You got this, Nicole. You're in the good fight and you're winning, and that kind of approach is what you have to do with many cases that involve addiction, you can't, if the person dealing with addiction doesn't want help, there is nothing you can do except let them know that when they're ready for help, you're there for them. And then, even still, you have to manage that based on what your experiences are with that person through the course of their addiction. And you can, in a lot of cases, you can predict what's going to happen next based on your history with the addict. My mom got my brother addicted. Nux, pretty, that's kind of harsh. I feel like she was, it sounds like that was her intention to get him addicted. Or it could have been that her intention was to share something in some twisted idea of what is being kind. Anyway, so Brenda said, I was shocked by the number of nurses in my first and second rehabs who whole new respect for the profession. I can't not tell my kids that everything is dangerous because of history. You should tell your kids. It's vital for your kids to always feel like you're open with them. It's less vital for you to be open. What's vital is that they believe you're open. What I mean by that is if you're completely open with them, but they don't recognize that you're being completely open with them, they don't get the same benefit. They don't get the trust experience. They don't get the the faith experience. I mean, catch up, shocked by the number. Lauren says Nux loving from afar is absolutely the right thing to do. Don't hold any guilt. Lauren's right. You have to you have to manage your mental health solution first. If you're not in a good place, you can't be in a good place for anybody else. And if there is someone who is toxic for you because of where they're at, what they're doing or what they're not doing, what they're failing to do, you have to protect you, and it's also a way to reinforce that it's important for them to try to do better. No, she had him buying for her because she was in high school and had connections. Because he was in high school and had connections. It turned into his 24-year addiction until he lost his battle at 44. Yeah, I'm sorry, Nicole. Sorry, you're in a tough place. I believe my husband was killed in an accident at work when I was pregnant with our only child, and that led to my addiction. I would always triggered when people ask if my daughter wasn't enough to make me stop. Wow. People ask if your daughter wasn't enough to make them stop. Well, that's stupid. That's not how addiction works. Should be a trigger. It's just pissing you off, I would think. Uh, we hear about that kind of thing a lot. It's just it's that people don't understand. People will say things like we have there's a friend who has a fentanyl awareness organization in Anchorage, Alaska, and she was telling me a story about talking to someone who holds political office, a city or state elected position, and the friend was handing out uh, opioid overdose kits that have naloxone in them and safety shield and gloves and instructions on how to administer naloxone and all of that kind of stuff. And the elected official responded that she said, I don't need that because I talk to my kids. Well, she said that to someone who lost someone to fentanyl. I don't need it. I talk to my kids. And said that at a fentanyl awareness kind of event. It's crazy. IV people don't understand that the shame of already thinking that is what keeps the addiction going. They don't get it. I tried. So many people would tell me that God gave me a healthy baby girl, and if that wasn't enough to make me stop, then I was beyond help. They just couldn't understand. That's the thing. Them telling you that is really just and it's really just a really elaborate way for them to say to you, I don't understand this at all. That's what they're really saying. I have lost my place here. Let me just. Hmm. Sorry, I'm back. I'm back. I'm back. I'm really sorry. I'm trying to catch up here. IV as an addict, also, I don't think we even understand. Probably, you know, when when do we when do we ever really understand? Is there is there a time when we understand? If you think about your understanding of something 25 years ago, or I mean, I guess I'm assuming an age range in the audience here that may not be there, but if you think about where you're at now as opposed to what you believed you understood when you graduated high school. When you graduated high school, you believed you understood a lot and you did not. And as you get older, you keep learning what you don't know. You keep learning that you don't know. You keep learning that what you thought you knew, you were wrong. I saw some little heart thing jump up or something, right? Did, did I see that? So, all right, 91 viewers, 37 thumbs up. Come on, people. So, my parents talked to me too, and I grew up in a church with what most perceive as the American dream. None of it made me say no to drugs. I didn't. I didn't experiment. I drank. Uh, when I was in high school, the drinking age was 18. and I smoked weed a few times. Made me laugh a lot. I remember that. Other than that, it wasn't something that I was really captivated by. And the other thing I remember from high school and from even middle school is users that I knew came across to me as being just not the kind of person I would want to be like. They they were just unpleasant. They weren't in their addiction. They were having a good time with it. They weren't. They were. It was still just a recreational experimenting thing. I'm not saying that they were pathetic looking because they were users. It, I never warmed up to it. I was never comfortable losing that much control. I think. I don't know. Anyways, I rambled a bit. My parents talked to me too. I don't know. I always had in my head that drugs are dangerous and should be respected. I don't remember any specific conversations. Addiction doesn't discriminate. That's for sure. I'm like, look at that. We're up to 40 thumbs up. That's awesome. I'm so grateful for you guys joining us here. I'm not sure how much longer we're going to stay on because I know that there is some stuff going on in the other room that I'm going to need to join pretty soon. So, Nux Sandwich, you're not wrong here. Addiction doesn't discriminate. All right. So what other questions you guys have for me? I believe our next story is going to be a recovery story. I'm not sure, but I think so. Going to be on the road for a few days, so there might be a little bit of a delay before the next story is published. We got we had a pretty bad setback with our publishing schedule because a storyteller. Yeah. Yeah, thanks for all you do, Glenn. Thank you, Joan. I often tell people when I speak publicly to never say never. We are all just one horrific incident or traumatic experience away from possibly being addicts. Yeah, how do you make that more real? Because you hear that, and there's still this resistance. There's still this how do you turn that into something that people really acknowledge, people really embrace? I don't know. That you hear people say it can happen to you. Never say not my child, or never say not me. Thank you, Kim. Kim, you know, we also have a series of addiction recovery stories on our channel. You know about that, right? I always tell people about that. Let me tell you something about the addiction recovery stories. Those are so dear to me. Every day, every morning, and several times throughout the day, I go through the comments on our channel. Most of the comments that we have are comments from fentanyl stories, but certainly not all. But the fentanyl stories, pretty regularly, we hear from people who are new to recovery, barely getting by in recovery, or just want to be in recovery but aren't yet, or been in recovery a long time and say they're still struggling now and then. And to be able to, okay, Kim, I'm going to send you a link. I'm going to post a link. And to be able to say to that commenter who is at whatever stage in their uh, recovery, to be able to say to them, we have a whole series of recovery stories. That is such gold to me, to be able to point people to that and say, here's some hope. Here's some people who are a few steps ahead of you in the process, and look at how they're doing. So I'm going to share that link. Here we go. Okay, here is a link to our addiction recovery series that I'm posting to the chat. There it is, the journey from addiction to recovery. Right there, that will take you to the playlist, and I believe there is somewhere close to 40 stories right now. When we do one of these storytelling summits and we go to Florida or Ohio or wherever, we not only we not only show we not only shoot stories about fentanyl poisoning, but we shoot stories about whatever. At our storytelling summits, it is mostly fentanyl poisoning stories, but a lot of times there will be one or two or more addiction recovery stories, or a human trafficking story, or a domestic violence story. And we do all of those. We make minor changes to the set according to what the topic is. But we record all of those. We're trying to develop content in all of those areas because those are all stories that matter. And so when right now the fentanyl series is drawing a lot of attention to our channel, and we're trying to make the most of that by addressing other stories that matter about important things like impaired driving and addiction recovery, human trafficking, domestic violence, cannabis induced psychosis, and stuff like that. Thank you, Joan. Um, um, I'm blessed to be getting to do this kind of stuff. I meet so many really awesome people. It's 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 crazy. And I just listen to them. You know. Thank you, Joan. Thank you, Joan. Thank you, everybody else. But we've been here for 80 minutes, and so it's probably about time to wrap it up. I don't know how much battery life is left on the camera that is shooting me. And I managed to make this cup of coffee last that long. No, it's not warm anymore, but that's all right. It doesn't matter that much. Lauren, I'm an addict, although prescribed. If it was taken away, I'd be facing the feelings addicts have: CPTSD, high doses of benzo and hypnotic meds. For 20 years, I did go from 10 micrograms and milligrams and 6 milligrams of Clonopin. The job could take, those small victories are giant victories. Giant victories are giant victories too, but those small victories are so huge. Nux, thank you so much. How often do you go live? Lately, I've been going live after every premiere. We're trying to sort out best time of day. Like it seems like around 6:30 or 7 p.m. Central Time is a good time to go live. that's when we did this, and we've been here going quite a while, and we've had a substantial audience the whole time. I just watched the Lauren Cole story. I live in the same town she did. Yeah, it's a powerful story, Lauren. They're, they're all powerful stories. The Lauren Cole story, I believe we shot in Pittsburgh. I'm pretty sure. I'm heartbroken with my loss and managed to stay strong in my sobriety. Videos help me know that I'm not alone here with this heartache and loss. Just can't say thank you enough. But thank you, Kriska. So, Kriska, you know that we have a series devoted to addiction recovery too, right? I'm hoping you were here when we were talking about that a little while ago. That we have a series on addiction recovery. It's in our playlists, and I can post a link to it if you missed it last time. Nux, I've cried through many of the stories. Gee, Jones, so have I. I don't. I don't, I don't usually cry during the interviews, but later, during the editing, when it's just me and the storyteller's pain, yeah, then yeah, I'll get choked up at that. Morgantown, yes, Morgantown sounds familiar. Kriska, so uh, if you subscribe to the channel, you should get notices when there's a live event set up. I think. Uh, so it's great for you guys to join us. I believe Feitner's Cheat Lake, huh? That's interesting. Okay. All right, but it is going to be about time to wrap it up, folks. We're almost at 90 minutes now, and uh, it's Sunday night, so I should probably spend some time with the family, don't you think? I didn't realize my body could make so many tears until I started watching these stories. I sleep better after a good cry. Brenda, you should watch some of the recovery stories too. The recovery stories are stories of victory. Even the human trafficking stories are stories of victory. The storytellers are telling about what they overcame and where they're at now. And typically, where they're at now is a good place. So, really, you guys should keep in touch, stay connected, make comments, and watch the community. We try to post things in the community section pretty often. So, I'm going to be on the road for the next few days. I'm back. Okay. I don't know what happened, but here we are. Much love to everyone here. If you're struggling, reach out. You're somebody. You're loved. As long as there is breath in your body, it's never too late. That's giant. It's never too late. But we are going to wrap it up, folks. So I'm very grateful for your time, and I will talk to you soon. If you want to reach out to me, you can find me here. You can email me at info at texas-pictures.com, and you can find us on Facebook. We're also on TikTok, but finding me on Facebook is probably the easiest way. But always welcome to email me or there's a phone number to reach us on our website. If you want to do that, you're welcome to. But thank you very much for joining us, and we will talk to you folks next time. Thank you.